So it turns out, Haney, we're only halfway through this.
Yeah, halfway through, as they said in the episode. It's weird. I don't know where we got the seven. I think they were looking at Wikipedia and things like that and going 7 episodes. So obviously they
Yeah,
only had that up.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like, I actually got that from Wikipedia, so it just goes to show that Wikipedia has not got a clue.
Yes.
But
Yep.
it is what it is. But do you know what? I'm enjoying it though. Do you know this week, when I obviously watched it last week and I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I'm not too sure what's going to happen this week, but it's been
Yeah.
an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, for me, obviously, but was it? I think the big week for me in terms of wrestling was a couple of weeks ago. It was
The faction one.
yes, what was it? And we were cutting the promos and that as well. And you know,
Yeah, it is what it is and stuff like that. But you know what, mate? We're also going to talk about episode 8, which is, of course, the one with DDP and stuff like that, talking about finishers. But let's get into the introduction, shall we? Bingo, episode 8 review. Haney, how's your week been, dude?
it's been all right. It's been the typical sort of work week.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty much similar. I know you obviously had the hay fever playing up as well this week.
yes, my eyes were streaming more than Netflix. I tell you.
You all
Jesus,
right though
man.
today? Because I know obviously pollen's quite high.
Sorry.
Is it?
Yeah.
You are? Yeah.
But was it is yeah, it is annoying still. I'm quite like feel horrible, but it'll pass. It'll pass.
Yeah, it is like at least one thing I like is the fact that actually, the weather's starting to warm up a little bit because it's been absolute terrible.
Yeah, we've had a couple of good days up here as well, which is new thing. We saw. What was it? Fullborn. What was it? What was it? What was it? Taps half season in Scotland just now. It's like
Yeah.
with the immense temperature of what was it? 11, 12.
Yeah, it actually is roughly about that year as well, so we're kind of on point a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice and pleasant, shall we say? Which is always good.
100% and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I interviewed Sadie Gibbs Wednesday and stuff like that, and that was pretty much an interesting one. It's on the channel; people are going to check it out. But I've got to be honest, these interviews are really coming thick and fast. And one of the biggest ones, which is getting a lot of love, is the show for 3.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic sort of format you've got there. So that was it. Just to get people's different perspective on things as well is really cool. So that was it's always fun for that sort of environment. So
100%. And that's the one thing I like is there's no script. There's no filters. You just basically it's like we're talking now.
exactly.
It's probably the best thing to do and stuff like that. But yeah, hey, we're obviously recording this Saturday. This is obviously the show aired last week. We obviously record it this time, so it gives people a chance to watch it, obviously, in other, like countries and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's sort of catching up with it all and changing it all. So what was it? It's good. It's starting to feel like you're getting all the ones that they want the characters to come out with are sort of getting the characters to come out of it. So that's always good as well.
100% stuff like that. I want to get your thoughts on something which I announced this week was the Dynamite Kid's daughter's coming to the show. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That'll be an interesting one to sort of see, get the perspective. I mean, not to be thingy, but obviously there's what was it? Dynamite is a bit of a controversial character to set himself. So what was it called? It'll be good to get that sort of side of things. Because you always get the one side of the people that were sort of want to tell their side of it. And I mean, I know he was ill for a long time, so he never really got to sort of answer some of that sort of stuff that was said about him. But you listen to guys like Bret Hart and things like that talk about him. But I know Brett. Some people see Brett as a bit of a whinger, and he probably is correct in that sense. But when you bring up back Dynamite, he's and it was particularly with the times I've seen him at meet and greets and things like that, and he's doing like a Q&A. He's got nothing but good to say about him, you know. So, but yeah, you know, so definitely a pioneer in wrestling. You know, probably the sort of everybody talks about guys like Hogan and things like that. I think Dynamite's the guy that pioneered along with sort of like the Owen Harts and things like that, and the Eddie Guerreros
100%.
and that. The what was it the modern American wrestling style? You know, a lot of it was
Absolutely.
taken from Japan though. You know, so let's not forget that the modern styles sort of what was it sort of an offshoot of what was going on in Japan. So let's not take away the credit from the what was it all these Japanese legends out there. You know, because they really what was it paved the way for what we see today. You know, for good or bad.
100%. 100%. And one thing, like I said, I have to big up, obviously, one of my mates, One Breezy, who obviously helped me out with this one. Do you know what I mean? He obviously spoke to and stuff like that. So I obviously, from that, we obviously had a conversation. Yeah, man, we're able to get something booked. So I cannot wait for that. That's May the 19th and stuff like that. Stay tuned, obviously, on Instagram for all the question posts coming and stuff like that. But Haney, we're talking about LFG episode 8 and stuff like that. Now, it's finishers and it's to cost DDP. I mean, I know some people don't like DDP, but be nice.
Yeah, are you implying that I don't like DDP? You know.
Yes, you said you don't like DDP.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think. I mean, I'm sure he's a lovely fellow, but I think what was it? His yoga's a bit of a Ponzi scheme to me. You know. So, what was it? It's for the rich and famous, shall we say?
So yeah, the theme this week is obviously finishes and stuff like that. Now, of course, we know that Danny. Yeah, make sure I'm getting it right. Yeah, Danny, of course, is obviously still not cleared. Still got issues with your back and stuff like that. Jasper tries, quote unquote, got the man flu. So Mickey is down 2 people already this week.
Yeah, you know that man flu's terrible. You know, what was it called? What was it? What was it? Rossiter says that man flu's a different beast. You know.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, that's what he said.
I don't know if that was verbatim, but yeah, he sort of said it was but was it yeah. So what was it called? Definitely, they'll never understand the pain of man flu.
Not at all, not at all. So obviously, like I said, the thing is obviously with finishes and stuff like that. For you as a wrestling fan looking in, what is it about a finisher what sticks out for you?
It's just the impact of it, you know, and the significance, you know. What was it? Are we talking traditionally? Are we talking about? I mean, not to get too negative about sort of how finishes have been sort of very much diminished over the last. What was
Just
it?
your
10 years?
just your thoughts overall.
Yeah. For me, the most important part of the match is the finish. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so so when a wrestler hits their finisher, what was it? That's sort of an indication of what happens. You know, but what was it called? It's so important. I mean, there's really significant ones like the RKO. You've got the sharpshooter. I think the most famous finisher in the business is probably Stone Cold Stunner. You know, that was
I would
but
have to say for me, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It's probably a DDT because we've got so many renditions right now.
yeah. Well, I'm discounting the DDT now because it's not. I don't even regard the DDT as a finisher now. It's used so regularly during matches that it's completely diminished and doesn't mean it's more diminished than the leg drop, the Hogan legs drop, and what I mean by that is it was Hogan's leg drop was protected. You know, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it was stupid looking and didn't do anything at all, but Hulk Hogan. He says if I mean, he sort of says if he picked if he could pick another finisher, he would definitely want to pick the leg drop because of the damage it's done to his hips and his spine over the years. But to me, the DDT was one of my favourite. Jake the Snake, when Jake hit that DDT, that was game over.
Yeah.
I don't even recognise that now as a finish, and that's just my personal opinion on it because there's so many variations of it, and there's so many. It's used more. It's used like a headlock now in wrestling, which really pisses me off. That's one of the things. That's one of my gripes with modern wrestling. You know, the sort of how certain moves aren't protected. You know, but was it's interesting as well because obviously another one is the pile driver,
Mm-hmm.
and they've sort of tried to bring back the significance of that what was it in recent times with the storylines with Kevin Owens, with Randy Orton, and then what was it, Cody and things like that, and Sami Zayn. But yeah, to me, that's sort of been diminished, unfortunately, because of what was it, the way modern wrestling is. That
Yeah.
was it as well. But they're trying to sell it now like a legitimate spot. You know, the DDP. Yeah, I would agree with you if I was like in terms of historically, the DDP is probably the most important finisher in history.
100% and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I went on a wee
So,
bit of ramble there. I do apologise.
oh, that's absolutely fine, mate.
It's
That's
me. It's
obviously why you're here.
rambling. It's rambling, Alec Haney.
So, I want to put the spotlight on Chris Island because he was obviously the centre of attention this week. Obviously, he had the push-up thing with Booker T at the start. He had the running, obviously, with Bubba Ray and Bully Ray. Sorry, I keep saying Bully Ray. I'm used to saying his TNA name, but Bubba Ray and stuff like that. And then obviously we'll talk about his match later. So it was kind of the main focus this week.
Yeah, it's just it's obviously supposedly his week to shine, shall we say? You know, so what was it called? I mean, it is. I mean, he's very talented. You know, so what can you sort of say about that?
No, exactly. So the first, obviously, after the push-up thing, Shawn Michaels obviously says, "Who's the front runner for each team?" So Bully Ray said Xena. Mickey said Chris, I believe. I think so.
Mhm.
Booker said Jasper Troy, but Taker said that it's still open. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think what was it? Taker's team is the strongest, so it is so hard to pick that sort of that main guy. You know.
100% and stuff like that. I definitely agree. He's got the strongest team and stuff like that. Now he's at the
Do you
time.
see that as an advantage? Some people see that as an advantage. But do you see that as a disadvantage that he's got that pool that it's that does that impact his ability to win this competition because he's got so many talented guys in his team. Not to discredit the talent in other teams. I just think he's got such a strong pool of wrestlers. I mean, he got the advantage. You go back to week one, he obviously got the first picks. You know, so.
No, because didn't Tyra May still pick him, I believe?
Yeah, you know, so what was it called? There was that as well, of course. I mean, who wouldn't pick the Undertaker in that situation? I think anybody that I think we spoke about it. If you didn't pick Undertaker in that situation, you're a fool.
No, exactly, and stuff like that. So I'm going to put the question to you, and obviously I'll give my thoughts after. Out of everybody, obviously we've watched you week to week. Who's your front runner for the male and the female?
I think what was it? I mean, I changed all the time. I still think Shila's. What was it? What was it? For male, I just think ultimately the standout. What was it? What was it? For what was it? For the whole thing for the females. Oh, geez, that's a good one. Let me think. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I like Bailey, and obviously that's another Taker one, you know. But what was it? What was it? Jenna Sterling, I think. What was it? Is there something there? Isn't there? She just
Yeah.
hasn't come out yet, you know. So I think she's probably going to be the standout of that whole thing. But
No.
I think Bailey as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me. I mean, I'm a massive fan, obviously, of Danny Sikalski. Obviously, she's been injured for the past 2 weeks, but I think you're right with Xena. I do like last week. Do you know what I mean? I thought this was an interesting character. We were out of her comfort zone. She obviously got the critique with the ring gear and stuff like that, but
Yeah,
there is. I have to 100% agree with her. There's definitely something there, and we'll
yeah.
talk about a match later on. As for
Exactly,
the
and
guys,
as I said last week about the critique for the sort of attire was wrong. It's her choice, you know. What was it? And all I would, if I was her in that situation, I would. What was it? Just says to Mickey James, just because your ass is out now sagging doesn't mean that was I can't show mine, you know. So what was it? So yeah, definitely.
100%. As for the terms of the guys, that's a tough one because I'm gonna have to get a say Evander Holyfield. That's for me. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? I like that he's got the physique, he's got the look. I really frustrate when he had the jury on in the match, which we'll obviously get to as well. But
yeah.
I don't know. He's just got that the whole package for me.
The issue. I mean, I think he is the issue. The issue he's got is
The name.
is a name. And he can't exactly get away from the name because he's got it fucking tattooed on the back of his all the way across his back of his shoulders, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, so and you know what fans are like. They start going on about the nepotism and the favourites and things like that, you know. So what was it? I think that lad is definitely talented, but I think he's got an uphill struggle to get to where he needs to go because of that reason. But I think he's like yourself. I think he's phenomenal, you know, and he looks $1 million. You know, he looks like that guy that could come in and headline WrestleMania. He just you know, I'm sure he will. Actually, I'm sure he's going to be a massive star in the WWE. To be honest, but
100.
it's going to be hard for him to sort of break out of that. It's a bit like The Rock trying to break out of his dad's shadow, isn't it? You know, at the time, third generation, and
It's like
you
the
know,
Charlotte one, do you know what I mean? And stuff like that.
yeah,
I mean, she took the name off, but she still recognised you when she comes out, the daughter of. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? It's still there.
yeah. I mean, there's there's nepotism there. I mean, regardless of what you think of Charlotte, the reason Charlotte did wrestling is because of her brother. Basically she did like her brother. If people don't know, her brother died. Reed died, and Charlotte decided that she was going to try and finish her brother's dream to make it to the WWE and get to WrestleMania. You know, what was it called? And
If I remember rightly, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Didn't Paige bring it up in a promo once?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. What was
But
it called? What was it called? What was it? But you know, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one for sure with Charlotte. You know, because she's very talented and she's great at what she does, but she doesn't do it. She only shows up at the big events. You know,
mm,
so I mean, what was it? I mean, she's only been around since like 2016, and she's already like two titles away from what her father won, the WWE, WCW. I know there's this whole thing now that Rick's coming out and saying he's actually got more world titles in 16. It's like, yeah. What was it? That might be, you know. What was it? But at the end of the day, then you're pulling in other wrestlers like Jerry Lawler and things like that who've like got like thousands of them. You know.
exactly. That's a whole different show, that Haney. So we'll
Yeah.
obviously move along and stuff like that. Now, after obviously DDP introduces himself and stuff like that, we obviously see a lot like, working on finishes and stuff like uppercuts, suplexes and stuff like that. But there's one which really caught my eye, and it was obviously the Molly go around.
The Molly go round. Do you want to explain the Molly go round to us all?
Essentially, it's like a dive off the top rope, like with like a spin on it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Can
Am
you
I said
tell?
that right?
Yeah, can you tell? Can you tell it's not my favourite sort of type of finish?
No, I can tell straight away, not to worry. But the thing is, though, with stuff like that, they obviously have to get the approval and stuff. And I completely forgot that Molly was actually at the performance center.
Yeah. Molly Holly is one of the greats. You know. What was it called? And what was it? And it definitely worked for her. You know. What was it? But what was it called? She's so petite when she was wrestling as well. More, it's hard to take that like certain finishers as legitimate. You know, that's unfair. That's unfair for me to say that because obviously you had stupid stuff like Warrior and Hogan, but when you were a kid, the moves meant something because you were a kid. You know,
I
so
mean,
that
prime example, look at the rock bottom.
yeah,
It's essentially a side slam.
yeah, or the five knuckle shuffle. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, what was it? What was it called? You know, so it's sometimes it's not about the impact of the move, and I think we got into some of this. It's about what the move is and how you can sell it to the crowd and how you can get the crowd sort of involved in it and change it. You know, so very interesting.
Yeah, well, like I said, we got a lot of stuff like that. Is there any like finishes which caught your eye, which people were working on?
Well, you know, you see so like so much. I mean, what was it? Cutler's was really just a sort of like
Uppercut.
uppercut and European uppercut. You know, what was it? Drake's was just a bull. It was just a flat, a splash. You know, um, you know, what was it? I think when Shiloh was trying to pitch the DDT it or whatever it was, he was trying to do to the Undertaker.
With a
DT.
keyboard.
You know, what was it? And then obviously Booker T's. What was it? Was it Lee? Picked the what was
Like
it,
a
the
power slam
Peloton?
type thing.
You know, I didn't think there was much imagination, to be honest, in the finishes that they picked.
No, and stuff like that. The one which really caught my eye, and I like the name, but just the finish itself didn't connect with me, was Anthony Luke's LCA.
LCA,
Lights,
yeah.
camera, action.
Lights, camera, action.
To me,
Something like
I was just watching that, going, I'm not really a fan of that. Do you know what I mean? For me as a fan, I mean, other people might think different.
nah, not my cup of tea, to be honest.
So, but yeah, I mean, after that,
What was the Chris Island one? Was it something GP, KGP or something like that?
yeah, it was a link to one or somebody who used to like wrestle. Do you know,
Tag team
before,
with, yeah.
yeah. So, and I like the backstory stuff like that, but like I said,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. So, after all this, the matches got put together and stuff like that. So, let me just find them. I have my notes here because I've got so many. Right, so there we go. So after all this, obviously the matches got put together. So first one was Cutler James for Team Bubba versus Anthony Luke for Team Booker. I like the physicality of this and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Great match and stuff like that. But for some bizarre reason, when these two hit the finishes, I was going, this is just not got me on the edge of my seat as a fan.
No, you know what was it? And it might be how the matches are edited because they're like 2 or 3 minute matches, you know. So you know, I struggled with this episode, to be honest, just because there wasn't much impact to me, you know. What was it? I think the finishing move is and signature moves in that are a very significant part of what was it? What was it? Of the wrestler, like we talked about, what was it? Jake the Snake. We know what Jake the Snake's synonymous with. We know what DDP is. We know what Randy Orton is. You know, what was it called? We even know like guys like the Iron Sheik. We know about the camel clutch and things like that. You know, what was it? Bret Hart. It's tied to the character. It's tied to the person. You know, what was it? And I think part of your finisher is finding your identity as well. You know, what was it called? It's something you've got to be careful. I mean, that's why. What was it? Damian Priest is known as the sort of bisexual taker.
Jesus Christ. So Booker is obviously beaming as he says Anthony Luke is proud. Bubba likes the Cutler took something simple and added some flavour in the front end and back end. DDP says he thought he would wind up long, but the fans were buying into it, so that's all basically he wants, so stuff like that.
Yeah.
Still a solid match and stuff like that, but I mean, like I said, when it came to the finishing element, I was just like, I'm not really sure about this one.
Yeah, nah, definitely. It wasn't. It didn't really resonate, did it?
Not at all, not at all. So that's obviously match number one. Match number two was Leo Laral for Team Booker versus Zena Sterling for Team Bubba. I had to think then, but
Barbary.
I've got to be honest. If the ring gear for this one, it's kind of like going back to the old ways. I did kind of like the ring gear last week, just that new physicality thing for me personally, but I still. You're right. We said it earlier. There's definitely something there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely. You know, what was it called? I mean, Bubba wanted what was it? More of a sort of what was it? Side slam, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what was it? But hers was more of a, I don't know, tombstone.
Essentially. And now, one thing I like is that her selling's really, really good because I feel like she injured her arm, quote unquote, injured it, but she sold it pretty well.
No, she did. She did. She sold it really well, and she kept going. But she's, you know, you always wonder when a wrestler's. You always wonder when a sort of wrestlers, what was it that way?
Yeah,
If
it's
they're
stuff
injured
like
or
that.
not.
Absolutely. So Bubba is obviously very happy with both women, but he's gushing over Xena. Booker wants to see a gear change and doesn't mean what she's wearing. I have worked out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to see another level from Leah. Taker tells Leah that he should be. Sorry, I can't read my fucking notes here. Let me just read it again. Should be
Yeah.
tired of hearing all that and stuff like that. She got a little bit emotional when everyone's commenting on her gear and stuff like that, but not the in ring.
Yeah. What was it they called Zena's move? Was it the whatchamacallit or something like that?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really interesting and stuff like that. But yeah, she did really get a bit emotional, but also I think she got the wind knocked out of her a little bit. But I still enjoy this match, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good. What was it? Obviously, DDP was quite happy with what was it with that as well. You know, so always really good.
100%. Now, next up, we've got is Chris Island for Team Mickey versus Elijah Holyfield for Team Taker. This, for me, was probably my match of the night. So, do you know what I mean? These two worked really, really well together. I completely forgot what Chris Island's finisher was and stuff like that. But the Holyfield one, it was all right for me personally. But if it had got a bit pumped up a little bit more, I probably would have believed it.
Yeah, you need more time to get invested in these guys. You know, what was it? And that's not a slate. It's just the type of guys that they are.
Yeah, it is what it is, though. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I like a sort of solid match. You know, but was it? You know, I don't like all the high flying and the
Flippy dippy
widdly,
wrestling.
the flippy dippy widdly wankery wrestling. You know, so what was it? I like these like two big guys in the ring just hitting each other.
And stuff like that. Now, the coaches were actually happy with this one and stuff like that. But when it got to Bully Ray's comments, it was a good news, bad news thing because obviously he called him out for obviously what happened previously and stuff like that. But on the plus side, he thought it was a solid match, and I thought it was probably the match of the night.
You think?
I said this one probably one of the best ones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? I really enjoyed this match, you know, and obviously the what was it? They picked up on the fact that what was it? Like try to use his boxing background as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? And what was it? And I obviously would compliment the fact that Chris was able to sort of like they were selling that a wee bit as well, you know. They were the way he was blocking or avoiding it, you know. So it's very handy. What was it? You know, what was it? A guy like what was it? Holyfield. He really needs a sort of finisher that'll knock the guy out. You know, almost like a TKO.
I was thinking, do you remember the Big Show thing, the WMD?
Yes.
Weapon of mass destruction, like just solid punch?
Yes.
Something like that.
Do you know the story between what was it? Do you know the background story between Booker T and what was his name, the boxer, Floyd Mayweather?
I do not.
You know that what was it? You know that what was it? He burst his nose.
No, I did not. You might have to tell me about this one later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later on. But it was at WrestleMania, leading up to WrestleMania years ago. But the gist of it is Big Show says to him, "Just hit me, I'll be fine," and it shattered his nose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right. So the main event obviously was Serena Lynn for Team Mickey versus Bailey Humphrey for Team Taker. The reason I preferred the other match to this one is there was a few spots in this match, and I know obviously it's editing and stuff like that. It felt like a little bit slow for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's just down to experience. What was it?
I'm not knocking the talent. I'm just saying I could tell watching it.
I know. I think Bailey's very green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what was it? And it's you know, you've got to put somebody like Serena in a ring, and you've got to carry that, you know. And both of them have got like their experience isn't like massive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I get what you're saying, and that's not a criticism either. You know, it's just one of these sort of things, you know. So it's interesting because obviously we knew what Bailey's finisher was because she's used that sort of cranium crush thing twice now. Yeah,
yeah.
You know,
I wasn't really a big fan of the power slam thing after. Do you know what I mean?
No, it didn't add anything to it.
No, but this thing with Serena, do you know what I mean? That dive, do you know, she absolutely if I didn't know she'd obviously been wrestling for so long, I'd have said, do you know what I mean? That was literally like, do you know, professional.
No, you know what was it? I think both women are in the sort of first 5 matches, you know. So what was it? I think one's had 4 matches and one has 2. I'm sure that was what it said, you know. So
No, one has 3, one has 2.
Was it? Was it? Yeah. So, oh well. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. So, it'd be to go into the ring and do that at that standard. The thing is, as well, you've got to be able to hit that every time, and it's quite.
But
It's
also,
one.
like, make sure it's safe as well. That's why, do you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think she actually landed it perfectly.
No, exactly. Sometimes you're a team in that ring, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can be seen as an unsafe worker because the other guy does something or gal for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So so you've got to be careful.
100%. So
It's been
obviously
like
after the
it's been like shunted up the back with a car. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's the guy's fault in front.
fuck's sake, ain't it? So obviously after all these matches, obviously points get awarded and stuff like that. Now everyone kind of praises their own. Obviously, they kind of bit like supports obviously their like coaches and stuff like that. But when all said and done, Haney, if you could pick one standout from each one, who would you pick?
From each match.
No, so obviously DDP picks one male, one female. Who would you have picked?
Oof, that's a hard that's a hard one. I mean, I wasn't overly impressed by any of the sort of finishes, to be honest. But well, obviously the merit was it Molly go around looked good, but it's what was it? Yeah, I don't know. I did like what was it? I did like the what was it the Molly go around because I'm a Molly Holly fan, so I'll probably go that one. And what was it? I'll probably say what was it? Elijah. Yeah, because I like the big impact.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the Elijah one and stuff like that. That's why I gave my point to. On the basis of the fact that she nailed it perfectly and stuff like that, I did agree that obviously DDP gave it to Serena. Do you know what I mean? I think we're all both in agreement on that one.
Yeah, it was good.
Exactly. And then for some reason, I mean, I get obviously where DDP coming from, the surprise factor, but for me as a fan, I didn't think Anthony Luke deserved that point, but that's just me.
No, that was a strange one. That took me. Yeah, that I was surprised at that. I was surprised at that.
100% and stuff like that. So the points obviously are as followed. Team Booker is on 5 points. Undertaker's on 5 points. Mickey's on 4. And Bully Ray's still on 1.
Woohoo!
Now, I've got to be honest, next week I'm looking for, well, this is obviously the new show's over airs tomorrow as we're recording this and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Devon too now. BJ because it looks like BJ's going to return next week as well. So
Unfortunately.
so what was it? I think Bubba's been biding his time, and because I think Bubba is probably the good cop in that relationship. I think Devon's going to come in and absolutely put him
Roast
in
him.
his place. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting stuff like that. But like I said, that's obviously next
Yeah.
week. So yeah, Haney, I mean, it's been an absolute blast. I mean, we can knock these out in 30 minutes, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's good, and we've got. We now know that we've got. What was it? What was it? We're halfway through, so we've got another 8 episodes to go. So there's plenty of time for Bubba's team to make it back.
Yeah,
I still.
I still think there's a double pointer coming somewhere.
No, definitely. What I would say as well, though, is what was it? I wish they weren't doing the sort of BJ stuff as well, because what was it? It makes it almost look like it's scripted, you know.
Yeah, well, that was remains to be seen and stuff like that. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, Haney, we're gonna be back anyway in roughly what time we're gonna be back in 4.5 hours anyway.
Jeez.
Because basically what we're gonna be doing in 5 or 4.5 hours in, we're gonna be rewriting history.
Gonna rewrite the end of a match.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to be doing there is going to be picking 5 matches
Yes.
from WrestleMania, which the wrong person won. We're going to be rewriting them what we obviously thought. I've
Yes.
got one in mind. Haney's got 2. Mr. Rice has got 2. That's 5. Do you know what I mean?
I've got the. What was it? I've got the. I mean, I'll give you that. What was it? A sort of. What was it? Hint. My one of mine is WrestleMania, where Hogan comes out after Brett beat. What was it? Yokozuna beat Brett.
I'm glad you picked that one because I was going to pick that, but I needed to wait what you guys were going to pick. So, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
obviously at 6:30 p.m. later on today, stuff like that. Do join us live. Find out which 5 matches, obviously make this list. Haney, I will see you in 4.5 hours, my man.
Yep. definitely.
Wwe,
Have fun.
outro.